So, hello everyone, this is Mucking About. I'm here with Daniel Worlton, also known as the Game Doctor. This is the Saito Summer 7th update, and it's async gaming. We're going to explain what that means. How are you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing great. How are you, Muck?
Great.
Welcome,
and just
everyone.
maybe a little introduction. Yeah. For people who don't
Yes.
know, Daniel does a lot of the sort of, if you use any application on Saito, Daniel's probably had his hands on it. He's probably a big part of making it work like it does and making it usable. And a lot of unsung praise, I think, goes to Daniel. So we're happy to have Daniel here. And the update is async gaming. So,
Yes.
Daniel, maybe you could tell us a little bit
games
before we get.
I'm sure you.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone is very excited to be having us talk about games because that's the most popular part of our project. Yes. So a little, I guess, background is like the way the tech stack is built is, you have the Saito application layer, and that's what covers all the, like the network, transactions, the blockchain things. And then on top of that, we build our modules. And so the modules are built through class inheritance. So we have like a mod template. So all modules inherit from the mod template. And then what we call the game engine is the game module template. So like all the games inherit from this. So this, class definition includes all the useful things for building games, and push them into standards. So that way we can have them nicely show up in the arcade or on the sidebar in Red Square or in the, have your leagues. So it just, it's every game just inherits from it, which makes building games on Saito easier because further down the inheritance, you have more things already pre-built in for you that you just have to, once you know what they are, it's easy to just call the functions. And so, so what we're talking about today is synchronicity of games. Because, games, well, I think the games are fun. I think that a lot of people do come by to play the games. But there are some
I think it's a vocal minority, right?
There's a vocal minority opposed to games.
But the inverse. Sorry, a quiet prevalence of people who enjoy the games. Not the loudest people, but
the silent majority.
Right.
To quote their economics. So yeah, the thing is, if you're playing a game and you're playing against someone quasi-anonymously, you just have an invite out there and someone accepts. It's always been the problem is have they disappeared? Have they just quit the game? Have they closed the browser or wandered off? Because sometimes you're waiting for a move and you're like, come on, I want to play. I want to make my next move. And so we've done a lot of things to make the process better, right? We built the relay module, which sends transactions off-chain. So they just go through the WebSockets and come really fast. And then, we do a lot of things like in Settlers, when you can't make a move, you just automatically end the turn, but then you still click continue. But that gives the other person a chance to start making their move before you even, it takes away it speeds it up by kind of overlapping the turns a little bit.
Right, and for people who don't know why this is important, it's really intuitive to think of building any sort of app where you communicate with someone else, even a game on the traditional web, and you just have a server in between, and all your problems are usually solved by coordinating with the server in between, and that server takes care of things. And I just wanted to stress the importance, these are real peer-to-peer games. There's no one in between to coordinate, so the process of actually two people coordinating and they can be offline, and you don't necessarily have a clean way of determining if someone is offline or if they're just taking a long time or if they quit the game. It's a whole new set of problems, and this is what the Saito team is thinking about and the problems they're solving for. And just wanted to contextualize that a little bit, because sometimes these might seem like trivial things, but in true Web3 and true peer-to-peer, these are sort of fundamental problems that Saito's tackling and dealing with. So
that's a good point. I'm so deep into the weeds, I kind of forget this. But let's say, if you're playing a game, you are running the game in your browser. You're just running an application in the browser, and it gets inputs through the transactions you receive. And you send transactions. Now the other person is running a game, but those are two different machines running two copies of the same game, and it's all of the coordination of like game ID and the transaction signatures. That's what keeps the games in sync, like how you update moves. But you're each independently running. There's no server in the middle running the game, and that you're just like asking the server, "Oh, hey, is there a new move?" Um, so yeah, like that. But the thing is, we're trying to uh, what's the word? Make more variety of gameplays. So, right, we've got like a lot of like the first crop of games, our first iteration games, right? We had, like poker and chess and word blocks and Twilight Circle. I think those are the earliest games. And like no one plays some of those games anymore. And the question is why? Why doesn't anyone play word blocks? It's a good game. Like Richard would love to be playing word blocks all day, every day, but I guess he's not finding the people to play. And so the question is why? Why isn't he playing? Because word blocks is kind of boring to play online, right? You make your move, and when you're waiting for the person, they can take, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to think about what they're going to move. And that is excruciatingly painful to just be staring at a computer screen for a few minutes. Like when you're around a table with your friends,
right?
You can, like stare at them. You can play, psychological war games at them, like, start humming the Jeopardy theme song, or like yelling, "Hurry up, hurry up!" And so this is what the announcement for this week is we have two different ways to kind of address this issue of like hurry up and wait. And so yeah, let's talk about asynchronous gaming first. So fair book. So
Yeah.
what do we mean by asynchronous gaming? It's basically just like chess by correspondence. So some games, like chess, um, people used to play through the mail, right? You have your chessboard. You think about it. You spend a day, a week thinking about your move. When you make your move, you write it down and mail it, postcard or letter to your friends. They receive the message, they update, and then they have as much time as they want to think about it. So it's just like you slow down the game to the point where it's not you're in the game and jonesing for the next move. It's just like, when you have time, you can look at the game, think of it like a puzzle, make a decision, and then send the transaction off. And so
yeah, and this is the when I used to play Words with friends, that when smartphones first came out. I guess I'm showing my age. That was the way you did it. Was you might make 5 moves a day between the two of you, but it was sort of like you said, it's a different way to play the games.
And you might be playing multiple games at the same time. So that way, like, every time you check, there'll be one game has been updated and it's now your move. And yes, we actually have this ability now. So it took a lot of editing the game engine to make this possible. Because, like, there's a number of little quality of life issues, which you've probably noticed already if you play games. So, like, whenever someone enters the game or leaves the game arena, you'll get a little notification that they've entered or they've left. If you're in the arcade and you have a game active and it's your move, it'll be telling you, oh, it's your move. So you've got those things, and then the ability to have 2 copies of the same game in your wallet working at the same time. We had a lot of simple assumptions, in the olden days of like, you're just going to have one chess game. So we just like when you click chess, it'll just like, what's the most recent chess game you have, and let's load that. And now it'll actually be like, no, we're trying to load this particular version of chess versus that particular version of chess. And solving problems were like,
right.
I'm playing chess with Richard, and then I get a chess move from Dave. It doesn't cross wires and like mess up the UI of the chess. So all of this asterisks should be working. But that's actually, yes. I think the point is like, we're like, hey, this is working. Or maybe go out and try it and then like come yell, don't yell at me, but like let me know if something is actually broken. Or you can figure out a way to break things. Now,
if you see anything...
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah, let us know on Reddit Square. And since there's such a big latency, I'll just also say two things. So that's two things. That's asynchronous gaming. So you don't need to be constantly connected or focused in on a game to keep playing it. You can sort of go do other things, go browse Red Square, go use chat. And the second thing, you can also play other games while you're doing it, which, if you think about poker players, a lot of poker players like to do multiple tables at once. And, you could do a game of Twilight Struggle in sort of real time, and maybe you have a game of chess on the side you do by correspondence. So, yeah, it's a simple thing, but it seems like a nice generalization to the game engine, to the framework for that. And yeah, so that's the first thing. That's async gaming, right? And
now,
do you have anything else you want to say?
It's not enabled for every game, because
for every
some
game.
games lend themselves better to asynchronous gameplay. So it's just available for chess, word blocks, Uzichi, and Twilight Struggle, which are games where players do you possibly want to think about your move longer.
Right.
Something like Settlers, it would be very painful because you'd be like, oh, you get into Settlers, you roll the dice, and they're like, oh, that's the end of my turn. Okay, I can't actually do anything. You want games to go a little bit faster, which I guess segues us to the other the other part of the announcement is that we've improved our game clocks. And so, yeah, we've had a game clock UI component for a long time, but it was just neglected, a little bit buggy, didn't work very well. And, we've heard the complaints from the community being like, how come the chess clock only shows my time? Why doesn't it show my opponent's time? And so, yeah, we've finally gotten around to addressing that. So now, if you play chess and turn on the clocks, it should be showing both people's times counting down as possible. And so this is a different way to play the game. And if you turn on the clock, you're now, instead of oh, take your time, answer when you're ready. No, you have the pressure to make your move as soon as possible, because that adds a different strategic element to the game.
Of course, yeah. Especially for competitive players. And was this a specific challenge to do peer-to-peer? I think it's an interesting question. It's how do you get two clocks sort of working in a coherent way without the server,
Yes. So naturally, right? If you have a real chess clock, it's one mechanical device, and pushing in my button pops the other button up and switches the timer. So there's no latency in there. Now, I guess, yes, most game systems would use a central server to kind of manage the clocks, and we're not doing that. So there is the possibility that the clocks may drift over time, because, as however much time it takes for me to send my move, my wires, your wires are operate at different speeds, even though we're, peer-to-peer, whatever relays we're going through. But, I wouldn't worry about this. This is not precision rocket science. If it drifts by a few seconds, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference, because it's going to be close enough. But the idea is you receive a move, you process a move, and then the game says, okay, now it's your move, and you have UI control. You have control of the UI to make your move. That's when your clock starts. And then when you submit your move, it stops your clock. And then you have that, 10 milliseconds, 50, 500 milliseconds that it takes for the other player to receive the move and process it. And then it becomes their clock starts. So in between, yes, there was going to be a bit of drift, but I think it averaged. I wouldn't worry about it. But try. Let us know if it actually does affect the game. Because what happens is when your clock runs out, you go, oh, I'm out of time, I lose. Will actually be interesting. Yeah, I don't think it's possible for both players to hit that situation at the same time, but it's nice. It's another way to play. And so clocks are available in, again, chess, Wuzichi, Twilight Struggle, and word blocks.
Cool, yeah. And that's something people have been one is, I guess, especially for more of these competitive games too, that's a big aspect of the competition is a time, like a coherent multi-party timer, if you want to call it that.
Yes.
Um,
yeah. I'm actually,
yeah, so that's
for Twilight Struggle, it's pretty cool because there are situations in Twilight Struggle where both players are making moves at the same time. Like both players are picking their headline card. And the multi-clock works, right? Like, as soon as I pick my headline card, my clock stops moving, but my opponent's clock keeps ticking through.
Oh, yeah. That's funny because that's part of the game I haven't experienced yet. Is because sometimes I take a while thinking about the move, and I'm like, I feel like this is a little bit rude. I'm sort of wasting the other opponent's time, but sometimes I need to like read through the cards. It is sort of nice to have that. It's sort of like a reward for figuring it out quickly and knowing your way around.
No, it does put on a strategy where like I think like, yeah, if you have a clock and your opponent takes a long time, you don't worry because you're like, oh, well, I can think about my moves while they're thinking. And then I have the strategic advantage because they're wasting their clock, and if they run out of time, I win.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of very good Twilight Struggle players already here, so it'll be interesting to see if the competition sort of gets a little more heated now, because this seems more like the way you might do it in a tournament.
We need to let people know because you have to, it's hidden under the advanced options, right? Player time limit.
Oh, right.
So a lot of people aren't even paying attention to the advanced options. We have these wonderful game options you can set before you start the game. And of course,
yeah,
we didn't talk about this, but yeah, we have our staking available too. So yeah, so that's where Twilight Struggle is. Chess is right on the. It's right there. Clock.
Clock.
Do you want to show this? Are you online?
I am. Yeah. Public invite.
Show. Let's see. You're first.
My lack of opening move knowledge will quickly be exposed in this demonstration.
So yes, like admittedly, it's not the most wonderfully polished like our little player boxes up here. I'm sure it doesn't look as good as chess.com, but I think this is improvements. Like we're always making steady improvements, which is, I guess, the best we can do for now.
So can we do like lightning chess, like 1 minute each? Is that okay?
Yeah, yes. I just kind of randomly selected a time, but yeah, you can go as low as 1 minute on the clock.
That is always fun. I think that's a interesting way to play this game. So I'm glad we can do that. I'm kind of treating it like that. Although I guess, wow, I've already used 30 seconds. I'm not a great chess player. Yeah, now I'm really using the clock.
Well, I'm just kind of moving randomly. I'm not really thinking.
Yeah, it seems to be working. We should have done lightning so we could have seen the clock expire. Obviously, we could just spend the next 20 minutes playing this game of chess.
Well, we can. Here, I'll quit. You win.
My anonymous account has moved up the leaderboard.
Congratulations. Now, so one thing. So suppose you want to invite your friend to play chess, but they're not. You're like, what you don't want to create an invite and leave it on the open, and then tell them, oh, hey, please go to Saito and accept my invite. Right? We have our private invites, and we have this new option for async invites. So what this does, and this is really cool, is so you create the invite, right? And I get my link. So this is private, so other people can't see it. Now I can, send this to you, however you want, like email, Telegram, I guess I could write it down on a piece of paper and mail it to you. But then I don't need to be on Saito. So like you get it and you follow the link, it will create the game, and you will get the first move. And then when I come back, it'll be like, oh hey, my friend has started the game and I can move. So that we don't have to be online at the same time to even start a game. But this is only
That's
if
very
you
cool.
set the game in async mode at the
I
outset.
see. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like, exciting stuff. Love this. Get a little bit more people playing Wuzichi or word blocks or chess. Those board games, they're actually fun. This require a lot more
Yeah.
thought. So they're not. They're fun, but they're heavy mental burden because you have to really concentrate sometimes.
Yeah. That's a
But
great way
this
for
way,
beginners to get into it. Give them more time, and it takes the pressure off. It, much more. I don't know. It reminds me of the way a lot of games on like the early iOS were. Just take your time. I'm a big fan of that sort of vibe, that pace, that atmosphere. So, and yeah, maybe we can get some new people doing some async games. Give them time. They could take a whole day to read their cards, to research, ask for help, maybe for Twilight Struggle and anything. Yeah, so that's very cool.
yeah. So I mean, this is
So that's
a
async gaming. Yeah,
async gaming and the clocks. Like, it's a pretty significant. It's actually a very significant upgrade to it's like a level up for the game engine. I think I might be losing you, Muck.
place.
Well, our connections get on weak. We might want to wrap this up. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Um, I hope to see you on the arcade, and come leave your comments in Red Square. And stay tuned next week for our next Saito Summer announcements release.